Welcome to Stillwake. Tonight, you'll drift through USC-Goliath, the metal giant lost in the storm. A vast ship in night mode, held inside a violet cosmic weather. No drama to chase, only metal breathing, static whispering, and quiet systems keeping you safe. Settle your shoulders. Slowly let the hull's soft tapping become your lullaby. And when you're ready, we begin. You wake to a pressure in the air, like the ship is holding its breath. The cabin is in night mode, dim and blue-gray, with console lights reduced to a patient glow. Your blanket is cool at the edges, warmed only where your body rested. Behind the wall, a relay clicks once, then stops. You listen, not for voices, for the metal. Outside, the cosmic storm grazes the hull in charged grains. Tiny impacts, rapid and irregular, like hail on a roof you cannot see. The sound travels through frames and ribs, settling in your chest as vibration. Dust floats through a seam of light at the door, slow as sleep itself. You swing your legs down. Your feet meet the floor panel, cold, lightly textured, trembling like a distant engine idling in its sleep. In a corner, condensation beads on a pipe, catching the console glow. One bead slips and disappears with a tiny tap. You turn to the intercom. Every morning, a report arrives. Routine, calm, predictable. A voice, a timestamp, a checklist that says the world is still stitched together. You wait for it now, almost without thinking. Nothing comes. Only a thin band of static, a gentle crackle that rises and falls like distant surf trapped in wire. It is steady, as if the ship is speaking through a mouth full of snow. You let the noise exist without fighting it. Your thumb rests on the intercom switch. The plastic is cool, almost damp. The static does not change. You do not press harder. You listen to the absence that replaced the routine. The ship creaks once, metal relaxing and tightening as the storm pushes and releases. Air moves through the vent in slow pulses, warm then cooler, like a lung finding a new rhythm. The hail-like taps continue, delicate, innumerable. The USC-Goliath is drifting, but it is still carrying you. You stand and take one slow step toward the door. The handle is cold metal, and it holds the storm's tremors in its skin. You are not afraid. You are listening. The door seal releases with a gentle hiss, like a quiet exhale. Cool corridor air slides over your skin, smelling faintly of ozone and warm insulation. The overhead strips are dimmed to a midnight level, leaving the metal to glow rather than shine. Your steps are muted by rubber soles, yet the deck still answers with a low, hollow note. Ahead, the bridge sign is a small rectangle of pale light, steady in the drifting dark. With each meter, the storm's tapping shifts in pitch, as if different plates of the hull are being played. A thin vibration lives in the handrail. When you touch it, it feels alive and patient. You pass a wall panel where status LEDs should dance in patterns. They hold a single color, unwavering, like eyes refusing to blink. The bridge doors part, and purple cloudlight washes the room in slow pulses. The windows are tall and slightly fogged at the edges, as if the ship is dreaming against the glass. Navigation screens flicker, present, absent, present, like a tired heartbeat on a monitor. In the co-pilot seat, Unit Alpha is there, perfectly placed, perfectly wrong. One hand is raised toward a button, stopped a breath before contact. The other hand rests on the armrest, fingers relaxed, too relaxed for duty. Its head trembles by millimeters, a small glitch that never resolves, never escalates. You do not speak to it yet. You let your eyes do the work, scanning the room the way a captain scans weather. Dust drifts in the console glow, turning each floating speck into a tiny, slow star. The ship's AI clock is running, but the morning report channel is still only snow. You open the old locker beneath the nav station, where the analog instruments are kept like relics. The compass is heavier than you remember, its casing cold and reassuring in your palm. The gyro hums quietly when you power it, a small, honest sound that doesn't pretend. You compare headings, screen to needle, flicker to certainty, until the numbers settle in you. You leave the bridge with the purple light still pulsing behind your eyelids. The corridor swallows that light and turns it into a dull sheen on steel. The ship's spine runs straight ahead, a long throat of panels, conduits, and quiet seams. Each step becomes a measurement. Your heel lands, the deck answers. Then the vibration fades into the next footfall. Cables lie in shallow coils along the wall, tagged and bundled like sleeping snakes. Their insulation is warm to the eye, but cold when your knuckles brush it. From a ceiling joint, a thin ribbon of steam leaks out and curls back on itself. It moves as if it is thinking. A droplet forms, hangs, and releases with a tiny metallic ping. The storm continues its hail on the hull, but here it sounds farther away, filtered through ribs, softened by distance, turned into a steady, comforting scatter. You pass service hatches with warning stencils half worn off. Your fingers follow one letter, feeling the paint edge like a scar. Then you see it in the middle of the corridor, a service android facing the wall at a perfect right angle. Its posture is polite, almost reverent, as if the panel in front of it deserves attention. One hand holds a cleaning cloth. The cloth moves in a slow circle over the same spot again and again. There is no hurry in it. The only sound is the fabric's soft drag on metal. A gentle shh, shh, that never changes tempo. The android's head does not turn. Its lenses do not brighten. You walk past close enough to feel its faint motor heat in the air. It does not notice you, or it cannot. You pause a moment, not to interfere, but to listen for meaning. The cloth keeps moving, keeping the ship clean for a crew that is not moving. Routine performing itself, even when the mind behind it is gone. You let the sound wash through you like a lullaby made of work. When you continue, the shh fades behind you, replaced by your own breathing. Ahead, the air grows warmer by degrees, and the hum of machinery thickens. You follow the ship's heartbeat deeper into the metal. The air changes before the door, warmer, heavier, threaded with oil and hot dust. Your hand finds the hatch wheel, slick with condensation, cold on top, alive underneath. You turn it, and the seal releases with a low, tired groan. Inside, brown noise blooms, wide, soft, and everywhere. It presses on your chest like a heavy blanket, not crushing, just certain. Pistons answer in rhythm, thunk, rest, thunk, as if the ship is breathing through iron ribs. Between the impacts, you hear coolant rushing, a smooth river hidden in pipes. The beat settles in your wrists and teeth, steady enough to trust. Light here is practical. Amber work lamps, dimmed, making every surface look older. Dust clings to warm metal. It smells like toasted insulation and distant ozone. A chain link somewhere taps once, then goes quiet, like a thought you almost catch. Heat rises in layers. Pipes sweat along their seams. Beads gather, brighten, and fall onto grates with tiny ticks. The taste of metal sits on your tongue, clean and dry. You wipe your thumb across a railing and feel the grit, fine, warm, honest. Under the main valve, the chief engineer android is kneeling. Head lowered, one arm extended, wrench held mid-task, frozen like a prayer that never ends. Its synthetic skin is warm from proximity to the lines, but there is no motion beneath. You take the wrench from its hand without shaking the pose. The flange nut has backed off by a fraction. You feel it more than you see it. A pressure gauge needle quivers near green, never committing to stillness. Slowly, you tighten, one careful turn, then another, until tension settles with a soft click. The sound is close and private. Scrape, then silence, then the faintest settling creak. The deck tremor smooths, just a little, like a shoulder dropping after strain. Outside, the storm's hail becomes a distant suggestion, muffled by the working heart around you. You return the wrench to the android, exactly where it was. The kneeling figure remains a quiet statue of duty, paused mid-care. You breathe with the engines, letting the brown roar hold you as if it knows your name. You leave the machine deck, and the brown roar softens behind sealed steel. The corridor air cools again, as if the ship is rinsing heat from your skin. A faint sweetness appears, wet minerals, nutrient mist, something almost like cut stems. The greenhouse hatch opens into violet, ultraviolet glow. It paints your hands purple at the edges, turning metal into a quiet bruise of light. Water speaks first, drops, thin trickles, a patient drip into shallow trays. fans breathe steadily, pushing humid air in slow, measured waves. Your lungs notice the oxygen here, sharper, cleaner, almost cold. It tastes like damp stone and leaf skin, like a rainstorm trapped inside a box. Condensation purls on the railing. When you touch it, your fingertip leaves a warm streak. Rows of hydroponic beds glow from beneath, roots suspended in pale solution. Fine root hairs drift like slow smoke in the water, trembling with each pump cycle. A timer clicks somewhere, and the mist nozzles sigh a thin, cool fog. You let it settle on your face, soft as cloth. Leaves brush your sleeve as you pass, gentle and accidental. Some are broad and waxy, some thin like paper, some serrated like tiny saws. You hear insects that are not insects, only tiny relays and drip valves imitating life. Near the central aisle, the gardener unit stands perfectly still. One hand holds a fern frond between two fingers, as if inspecting its veins. The gesture is delicate, almost tender, but the lenses are dark, unlit. Vines have begun to claim the wrist, looping around joints with quiet confidence. A droplet hangs from the metal fingertip and falls onto the leaf with a tiny tick. The frond flexes, then returns, patient, unbothered by the frozen caretaker. You stand close enough to feel the unit's faint warmth and the plant's cool humidity together. Machine and garden sharing the same breath. You do not wake it. You only adjust a sagging tube, lifting it back into its clip so the drip stays even. The water resumes its steady rhythm, and the fans keep their slow inhale. Here, inside metal, something still grows without asking why. The corridor to cargo is colder, as if the ship hides its breath here. Your fingers brush the bulkhead. The metal feels dry, dusted with powder. The hatch wheel turns with a reluctant scrape, then the lock releases. The doors part and darkness opens wide. The hangar is enormous, ribbed with gantries and cranes that vanish into shadow. Your footsteps sound small, returning as a soft echo that takes its time. Containers sit in rows like tombs, each one sealed, each one patient. Paint is scuffed, warning stripes are faded, labels curl at the corners. On one door, a stencil is half erased, Project Chimera. The letters look old, as if they were never meant to be read twice. You stand close and listen with your bones. A low hum lives inside the metal, so deep it is almost silence. It arrives as vibration in your fingertips, a slow pulse through gloves. The container does not move, yet something inside seems to breathe against its walls. Not a monster sound, more like a sleeping transformer or an engine turned inward. The hum rises a fraction when the storm flares, then settles again. Your intercom is still only static, a thin snowfall behind your thoughts. You walk the aisle slowly, reading numbers, dates, sealed seams. Everything is strapped down with care, as if secrecy is another kind of safety. You do not open anything. Curiosity is enough. It keeps the mind occupied without waking fear. You place your palm on one last container and feel the same gentle tremor. It is there, and it is contained. The hangar smells of cold steel and packing foam, with a hint of ozone. Ventilation sighs, slow and even, like the ship is keeping watch. You turn toward the exit, carrying the hum like a quiet memory. You return to the bridge, and the purple cloudlight is stronger now. It rolls across the windows in slow waves, like deep water pressing against glass. Unit Alpha is still frozen in the same half gesture, a pause that refuses to end. On the main display, the station beacon appears at the edge of the noise. A small cluster of lights, steady and warm, floating inside the violent violet. The autopilot icon blinks and fades, like a tired eyelid. So you place both hands on the manual controls. These are not joysticks. Heavy hydraulic arms, stiff levers with resistance like old doors in cold weather. When you pull, the ship answers slowly with a delayed obedience. You move millimeters, then wait for the mass to agree. The storm hits the hull harder here, and the bridge trembles in tiny shivers. The sound is metallic hail again, but deeper, closer to your spine. A warning light flickers without sound, like a thought you choose not to chase. You align the nose with the docking lane by feel, not by trust. The old gyro hums in your peripheral hearing, calm and honest. The compass needle steadies, then drifts, then steadies again. Your breathing matches the drift, slow enough to keep the hands gentle. Omega Station grows larger, not quickly, but inevitably. Its lights reflect off the window haze, turning every droplet into a tiny halo. You correct a fraction to port, then stop, letting inertia finish the sentence. The docking collar fills the forward frame, dark and circular, waiting. You hear the ship's skin flex, quiet creaks, like cooling metal, but awake. Hydraulics whisper as you ease the last approach, steady and restrained. Slowly, closer, until the gap becomes almost nothing. Contact is not a crash. It is a gentle kiss of steel, followed by weight settling into place. Then the docking clamps engage. A deep, final GUM reverberates through the bridge like a gong. Indicators stabilize one by one, turning from flicker into certainty. The storm is still outside, but the ship is now held by something larger than drift. You keep your hands on the levers for a moment longer, just to feel the stillness. You did it. Docked. The word is not spoken, it is felt. Through the floor, through the seat, through the way the air stops trembling. The engines drop to idle, and the ship's voice becomes smaller, closer, more personal. Outside the windows, the storm still glows violet, but it no longer owns you. Omega Station lights hold steady at the edge of the haze, patient, unblinking. A soft connection tone tries to form in the comms, then dissolves into the same gentle static. Even the station feels far away, as if you're listening through deep water. You do not stand. You remain in the captain's chair, letting the harness rest against your shoulders like a familiar hand. Unit Alpha is still there, still paused mid-duty, still a quiet witness. You look at the frozen android crew on your screens, their status icons dim and unchanged. Silent sentinels, holding positions that will never need correction. The ship begins to cool. Metal contracts in tiny, irregular ticks, small pops and creaks like distant knuckles. Somewhere behind a panel, a pipe settles and answers with a soft, polite click. This is your favorite sound. Not alarms, not voices, not triumph. Just a huge machine relaxing, safe enough to let go of tension. You let your own muscles copy it. The static in the intercom becomes less important now. It is only weather inside a wire, harmless, steady, almost comforting. Your eyelids feel heavier, as if gravity has increased by a gentle degree. You allow it. Your hands rest on the armrests, warm against cool material. The chair hums faintly, a vibration tuned to calm the spine. The purple light outside dims and brightens, like the ship is being rocked. You don't leave the USC-Goliath. The station can wait. The questions can wait. Here, inside steel and measured air, you are exactly where you belong. The final thing you hear is the cooling metal. Tick, tick, and then longer spaces between. The storm continues outside, but farther away each breath. Slowly, your thoughts thin, like mist. Your eyes close.